Okay, sorry. Okay, ready? Okay, can. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the PAP Fullerton Rally. And we're gonna start hearing from our colleague and friend, Daryl.
Thank you. My fellow Singaporeans, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon. My name is Daryl David. Some of you may know me as the guy from TV, through my work as a sportscaster, and of course on, well, the Pyramid Game. But what many of you may not know is why and how I began my career in TV. I did so because I needed to put myself through university. My story is one of a simple boy with simple means, but with access to a stable and secure system that's been provided by the PAP. We didn't grow up rich, but to help with my mother, especially in the last 14 years of her life when she was a kidney dialysis patient. And my sister and I were also given access to affordable, quality education. And we're very, very grateful for that. I studied in local schools. I did my first degree at NUS, did my MBA at NTU, and my third degree, a master's in public administration, was at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. I had access to some of the best schools in the world, ever having to leave Singapore. And that's why I'm standing here today. And that's why I stand. I stand because I am a product of this system. And I stand because this system has served me and served me well. I made the choice to go into education as a career. I've had the privilege of helping to develop the next generation of industry professionals. In my 14 years in Temasek Polytechnic, I have seen how skills-based education have enabled our graduates to grow and progress. And not just to progress as professionals, but to grow as award-winning professionals that are internationally recognized. And this is why I'm an advocate of skills-based learning. As a father of 2 young children, I'm also a strong supporter of young families and families with young children. The government is building 5 mega childcare centers, the first of which will be ready by 2016, the middle of next year, and I believe that we will do more in this area. I'm also very concerned about providing quality after-school student care for many of our families with young children as well, because many of us here are parents of young children, and I think you will agree with me when I say that we only want the best for our children. Famous words were uttered here many years ago by Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, and he said, "This is not a game of cards. It's about your life and mine." Today, I'd like to take it one step further. It's not just about your life and mine. It's about the lives of our children and our children's children. Where Singapore stands tomorrow depends on the stand we take and the stand we make. So stand with my colleagues and I. Give us your vote. Majulah Singapura, Majulah PAP. And now, I'd like to introduce a lady who has impressed me with her quiet confidence and steely determination when we first met. A lady whom I'm proud to say is my fellow candidate. Would you please welcome Ms. Cheryl Chan. Cheryl?
Good afternoon, fellow Singaporeans and friends. I'm Cheryl Chan, the PAP candidate of Fengshan SMC. Why did I join politics? Some time ago, Mr. Raymond Lim asked me if I would consider to step forward to stand for election and whether I would come to serve the country. And on that note, the first thing that I was considering is, can I do something to better the lives of my fellow Singaporeans? And I find that it is a real honor for me to step forward to serve this country because I believe that we need to actually pay forward in life in order for us to contribute to the society. Thus, I agreed to be considered. So some people have asked me, what is the role of an effective member of parliament in Singapore? Let me share some thoughts on this area. To me, I think there are two aspects. An effective parliamentarian first needs to have that desire and the ability to be able to serve the community and the residents. It is not about what he or she thinks is best, but rather how do they actually help the community together with the government to come up with solutions that's best for the challenges of our time. So take, for example, let's look at how we improve the lives of families. They are the bedrock of our society, and this is important for us because most of our working class have to care for our aging parents and also for the young children. We will need to ensure that all our children have a good start in lives. And for our elders, we need to make sure that they are actually provided with good support in whatever they choose to continue. Be it, do they want to go for retirement, take up a new hobby, look for new interests in life, or even to continue work and be caregivers for their grandchildren. As our society demographics changes, I think we need to fine-tune and continue to adjust our policies. We need to be able to respect the fact this actually impacts the life of people, daily lives of theirs. And we have to be guided by our principle, which is one that comes true. We continue making better lives for each and every one of us. So some of these examples, the PGP, the MediShield Life, and also the Silver Support Scheme are the examples of all these collaborative processes that we put together in order to make sure we continue moving forward. The other role of an MP, I believe, is a critical one that participates in all these constructive debates in the Parliament. You need to be able to bring different views to the table and also be able to have a balanced view in order to make sure that we can still hear each and every one of us, but to be able to have a balanced one to ensure that Singapore stays on the right footing. If we go too far left or too far right, it still spells problem. And we need to ensure that we do not fall for those people who actually propose just easy solutions for very tough problems. So for me, I think the PAP's formula is both simple and difficult at the same time. It is simple because it is a key objective for us to have a betterment of Singaporeans and also for the best of Singapore. But at the same time, it's difficult because these are all tough work and it's not easy choices. So if I invite you to take a look around us, right here in the heart of this city, what you see is you see skyscrapers, all these tall buildings, the Marina Barrage, good public housing, and a stable society. I would think if you look 50 years back, all these things don't come by chance. Our forefathers who were here at a newly independent nation did not expect or even dream this would come true. So what do we expect Singapore to be like in the next 50 years? I would say I'm confident. Our economy will continue to thrive and we will actually be competitive and dynamic. And what do I hope for, like many of you? I hope that we have this unceasing effort to remake our homelands, to make sure it will be a place that will keep up with times. But more importantly, our social fabric will be one that is going to grow from strength to strength. We will have our people that has equal opportunities to make sure that everybody would be able to move forward and to look for opportunities in Singapore. And at the end of the day, Singapore will be the best home for all. So dear Singaporeans, I urge you to vote for the PAP. A team that has got a strong and caring team together. We've stood with you through the test of time, and we know that we are here for the residents. We will contribute effectively and to make the policies that will be suitable for many in Singapore. So I hope you will help us to hold our Singapore flag up high and settle for nothing else. Vote for the PAP. Thank you. And next, please let me introduce my fellow candidate, Ikang, to take the stage. Thank you.
Friends, fellow Singaporeans, thank you for coming today. Before we start, can we all give an applause to Zhi Xiong, who is our sign language interpreter today. It's a privilege to be here today at the Fullerton rally, and this moment reminds me of my father. He was a Barisan Socialist MP, 1963, Bukit Panjang. And some people say that makes me an unlikely PAP candidate. He passed away 2009, but if he was still alive and we have a conversation, I think he's going to ask me, how is it like with the PAP? And I think our conversation may go like this. I will tell him, I want a government for myself and our children that has track record, that has delivered, that is experienced, and that is capable. A government that can anticipate long-term problems and tackle it in good time. The policies might not be popular, but they are always based on principles, sound principles, and always in the interest of Singapore. And I believe my father will understand that, because in his times, principles are what divide Barisan Socialists and the PAP. In his times, the two parties disagreed on big things: merger with Malaysia, socialism, our culture, Singapore's place in the world. Today, we face a different political divide. What is this divide? One argument that has emerged during this campaign period is that the opposition argues that there should be 20, 30 opposition MPs in Parliament, because that way the incumbent PAP will work harder for you. That's one logic, but there's also an alternate logic, which is if we lose so many seats, any ruling party, no matter how dominant you are, will be undermined and will be weakened. Worse, it can be compelled to become populist. So instead of talking about SG 100 vision, we may end up spending a lot of effort in politicking. It reminds me of sometimes we see in our offices, the boss. You may have been a hardworking worker, delivered all the projects, but the boss say, I bypass you for the promotion. I give it to the other guy who work less hard. Why? So to motivate you to work harder. It cannot be. I feel that our politics should not work this way. Singapore's politics must be about the ability to balance continuity as well as change. It does take courage to say that the current system is not working. Let's tear it down, build another one. Let's go for a revolution. I think in today's Singapore, it takes even greater courage to say the system is still working. And so undergo a process of evolution, not revolution. Today, the PAP system, it is still working, it is still relevant. Even after Mr. Lee Kuan Yew stepped down 25 years ago and passed away earlier this year. The PAP system, it is one that is painstakingly built up over the decades through knowledge, through skills, through experience in running the country. Embedded in the system is ethos, is wisdom. And it is also evolving. Over the years, the PAP is listening more and more to people and adopting the views. More and more inclusive social policies has been implemented to counter the global trend of income disparity. After 2011 and after we lost in our unit, upgrading continued in our unit. The PAP system is why we have a stable system in Singapore and why I'm proud of being a Singaporean. And my father knows that I will stand as a PAP candidate because it is the only system that works for Singapore. It is the only system where I can explain to his grandchildren that it is hard work, it is trying your best, making mistakes but learning from it that gives us meaning in life, not standing at the sideline pushing you to work harder. And we must have faith in the PAP system. Thank you very much. I forgot my last duty, which is to introduce the next speaker, Mr. Victor Lai, standing in Aljunied GRC.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 大家好，我是赖天发 I'm Victor Lai, candidate for Aljunied GRC. In 1996, I had a chance to enter politics, but I did not. I wanted to know that I was doing something I wanted to. I didn't want to be invited. So I volunteered in 1999 to help people affected by the Asian financial crisis. And those of you who stand here, and I was in financial services, will know the challenges our people had to face. In 2011, Aljunied sacrificed a very good PAP team. It was a cry for our leaders to connect better with our people. A cry across the nation, a cry which tipped the balance in Aljunied. You know, I volunteered there since 1999. I too was crying out to highlight policy shortcomings, crying out to connect better with our people. Over the last 4 years, the PAP has adjusted. More will be done. In Aljunied, I trust the people know in their hearts what the opposition said at the hustings. And now, the people know in their hearts whether they have been shortchanged. They now know that the self-proclaimed co-driver doesn't have a driver's license after all. They can't even check and balance themselves or their accounts. It is easy for them to be populist. But Singapore is here today because of long-term decisions made by leaders with their hearts for the people, regardless of electioneering. Singapore cannot be normal. Singapore must be special. 新加坡是一个宝贵的小红点。And so must our politics be. Ours is a politics of people. Without natural resources, forged by circumstances, an accidental nation. In a short 50 years, we have earned the awe and respect of much larger countries, far better endowed than us. We are but an island, built on the grit, gumption, and the belief of one people in our future. It came about because Singapore we day of the independence, popular distrust, and we take the hard decisions of communicate better and highlight the heart in our policies. We have the Silver Support Scheme. We have the Fresh Start for people who have already 2 bites of the cherry, the Pioneer Generation Package, and now MediShield Life. Which country in the world will give you universal healthcare insurance and afford to give its people for life? None. More has to be done. For example, while the government has allowed some flexibility to withdraw CPF savings, we should listen and see what more we can do. We must see how we can better address the asset-rich, cash-poor, middle-income segment, dysfunctional families, and the low income. We can do more. Our government must focus on hardware, build up our social capital. I believe this will strengthen the bond between the leadership and the people, that we care for Singaporeans. We build a brighter future for our Singapore. I quit my job in 2012 to organize the Aljunied ground. It was a sacrifice, but I learned much. With the ground restored, I tried to re-enter the financial services sector without success. I experienced the pain of our mature PMEs. Having been a CEO and a government scholar, it was humbling to apply for a job, be interviewed by someone younger and foreign. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge our leaders and policymakers to understand and experience this sense of vulnerability, which will keep us connected and rooted to Singapore and Singaporeans. Vote PAP! Thank you. I now invite my friend Amrin to address you. Thank you.
A very good afternoon, everyone. Tatia hao. Vanakkam. And apa kabar semuanya? My name is Amrin Amin. We go to the polls this Friday, September 11. You may be wondering, why vote for the PAP? I offer you 3 reasons. Number 1, what the PAP has done for Singapore together with you. From mudflats to metropolis, from third world to first world. Second, we have the better team today. And third, PAP has better plans for Singapore to secure Singapore's future. On the first point, this little red dot is a truly special place. We're a small, young nation, but an accomplished one. 50 years is a milestone, but it is a short time in the history of nations. In that short time, we were able to get many things right. Let me touch on one. This is a country of opportunities for Singaporeans from all walks. I don't just know this, I live this. Mine is a life blessed with extraordinary people in an exceptional country. My parents took on multiple jobs to support us. I went to ordinary schools in Singapore. I'm now a lawyer. I understand that some of my colleagues are here. If born elsewhere, it is quite unlikely that a minority from an ordinary background like myself can have so many good opportunities. So how did this happen? By design and deliberate policies of the PAP government. PAP policies on affordable housing, quality schools, good and affordable healthcare, and a stable, peaceful Singapore where people of different races and religion can get along well. Saudara-saudari, hidup yang baik dan sempurna untuk semua lapisan masyarakat. Masyarakat minoriti turut serta meraih peluang sama ada di sekolah dan di tempat-tempat kerja. Saya akur tentang hasrat masyarakat kita. Masih banyak yang boleh kita perbaiki bersama. Saya seorang anak Melayu Islam Singapura. Namun, renungkanlah sama ada kebajikan masyarakat minoriti dapat terus terjamin dengan pasukan PAP yang lemah atau dengan sebuah pasukan yang sangat tertekan untuk memancing undi. Adakah sistem 2 parti atau 3 parti dapat memenuhi aspirasi masyarakat minoriti? Tentu sekali tidak. Keperluan masyarakat kita hanya dapat dijamin oleh pemerintah yang mempunyai mandat yang kuat dan confident dan dengan sebuah parti yang inklusif dan mengambil berat tentang hal ehwal negara dan masyarakat kita. Bersatu kita teguh, bercerai kita roboh. Second, we have the better team. The PAP team represents a good combination of head and heart, a multiracial team for the people, a team that will listen to you, work with you, and do our very best for Singapore. Finally, the third reason, PAP is the best party to secure our future. We mean what we say, and we do what we say. We deliver. I understand. We want more from life. We want better jobs. We want a worry-free retirement. We want a better life for our children. We want our Singapore to be a good and great place. This drove our pioneer generation, and it should drive us. We are preparing for that with programs such as MediShield Life and Skills Future. I put my trust in the PAP, the team with the better plan, the better team, and the better party. With you, for Singapore. Together, you and I, vote the PAP, Majulah Singapura! Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. May I now invite the next speaker, Mr. Tan Wu Ming. Thank you.
Friends and fellow Singaporeans, I'm Wu Ming from the Jurong GRC team. Let me tell you why I joined the PAP. I joined this party because I believe in its mission. Deep socialist roots, going back to the 1960s, the time of Yi Kang's father, the ideal of building a more equal and more just society, taking a stand against powerful external forces. When big countries wanted to bully us, we stood up. When globalization came, we stood with Singaporeans, made it work for Singaporeans so that progress could benefit people. And in the past 10 years, as all the developed economies faced great challenges of inequality, of divides, we again stood up, stood with the people, helping those who start with less, without knocking down those with the gifts to do well and contribute to society later. Always, it's been about a fair and just society. Sustainably, not just being fair to today, but fair to those who come after us, those who are our children tomorrow. And it's never an easy task, taking a stand, trying to bend the arc of history, because look at the odds against us. We are always going to be the underdog. We may be a shining red dot, but we're still a little dot. Because free markets, as those of you here will know in the financial sector, they don't naturally lead to good outcomes. Markets can fail. That's why laissez-faire policy is no longer in favor. And even in the marketplace of ideas, there can be market failure. Listen to some of the campaigns. Look at how easy it is to stir anger, negativity, hate, bringing out the worst in us rather than the best in us. And that's why this election counts, not just for you and me, but for our children and those who will live on after us. For 50 years, we beat the odds, bent that arc of history, because amidst all our differences, we were one. We drew strength from the people, using that strength to help the people. Different policies over the years, but with that one thread of a fair and just society. I don't know if I will live to see SG 100. But our children tomorrow, they will know. They will know whether we made the right choices today. Will we have an economy that creates jobs? Or will our young Singaporeans in 50 years' time struggle to find work? Will we have enough still to help those who start with less, those who need second chances? Or will we be high on tax, low on opportunity? Will we still be able to build new homes, new places to live, new schools? It's up to us to choose today. But no matter the odds, I choose to believe we can build a better tomorrow. I choose to believe we are a people with the potential for greatness. And I choose to believe that together, if we are one, we can still accomplish wonders. Because in an imperfect world, the dream of a fair and just society is worth fighting for. Today, tomorrow, and always. Thank you. And now I'm proud to introduce my friend and colleague, Hong Tat.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before I begin my speech, please join me in welcoming the Prime Minister and ESM Go. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you want a good future for yourself and your children? To have a good future, Singapore needs to have a good economy, a strong economy, a competitive economy that can generate good jobs for Singaporeans and provide the resources to fund our security and social spending needs. This is not some computer game. The homes we live in, the jobs we have, the good standard of living that we enjoy, we cannot assume that these will continue if our economy fails. And when that happens, you can't just press some reset button and start all over again. It doesn't happen that way. This is about Singapore's future. This is about your future. This is about your children's future. It is wrong for the opposition to think that they can just focus on growing local enterprises, promoting entrepreneurship, ignore the MNCs, ignore the large enterprises. That doesn't work. That makes no economic sense. MNCs and large enterprises provide many jobs for Singaporeans, including many PME jobs. I'm sure many of you here work for MNCs and large enterprises too. They also support our SMEs who provide them services as contractors, as suppliers. If we lose these large companies, what will happen to our workers? What will happen to our SMEs? If we do what the opposition propose, Singapore's economy will decline. Our people will lose their jobs. Is this what you want? Now, I came from MTI previously, and I fully support our SMEs. I fully support promoting entrepreneurship. If our SMEs do well, Singapore and Singaporeans will benefit. To be clear, the government emphasizes SMEs. We have put a lot of resources to help our SMEs. There's more we can do together. If I'm elected, I want to help our SMEs to become more competitive, both here and overseas. I want to help to cut costs for them, regulatory costs, licensing costs, operating costs, and I want to help them to grow a strong Singapore core, to sustain their growth. The government cannot achieve these outcomes alone. We need to work closely with our partners, unions, the businesses, and we need to work together through this tripartite relationship that we have forged. The PAP government has demonstrated through the years that we are able to do this. Now, in fact, our unions and SMEs and trade associations, they don't bother going through the opposition. Why? Because they know who has substance and who doesn't. In fact, I don't see the opposition doing anything in between elections to help our SMEs. Only during election time, suddenly make noise, suddenly come out with a lot of things, pretend that they are doing something to help our SMEs. And their proposals are driven by populism, not sound economic knowledge. You take WP's proposal to freeze foreign worker numbers. They say they want to rely on women and seniors. Is this assumption realistic? We have an aging population. Now, the government is fully supportive getting more women, more seniors to work. But we have to accept that some of them are not going to come out to work for family or health reasons. We also have already a very high labour participation rate in Singapore, higher than the OECD average. Now, is it realistic to assume that we can still raise this further, especially when the WP's proposal is also to limit the number of foreign domestic workers that our Singaporean families can hire? Our SMEs are already facing labour constraints, and WP wants to squeeze them further. What kind of proposal is that? Do they care about our SMEs? Do they care about our workers? Do they care about Singaporeans? For our SMEs to grow, they need a strong government, one that is not based on populism, but based on sound policies, one that has long-term vision, one that will put policies into practice. I'm confident that Singaporeans will choose the best party that can deliver results for you, that can build a better future for you and your families. Thank you. Let me now introduce Minister Heng Swee Keat.
Fellow Singaporeans, thank you so much for joining us, sacrificing your lunch time, standing here watching us speak. And thank you to all those who are watching this on live streaming. It shows one thing. It shows that we care about Singapore, we care about our future. As Education Minister, I have the joy of meeting many students in our primary school, secondary school, in our IHLs. They are so full of hope, full of promise, full of energy. And I ask myself, how do I help every child succeed? And each time I see a child or an adult succeed, I am so happy, especially when the task seems so daunting. My first duty as Education Minister was to give a gold medal to a boy, Lawrence Stevens. He scored perfect GPA of 4.0, but he told me he failed his A-level badly. With a GPA of 4.0, after he failed, he said, look, I got to pick up myself. I got to do better. He enrolled in Ngee Ann Poly and then went on, scored a perfect GPA, got a scholarship by NTU, and he's now in our most prestigious engineering program, our Renaissance Engineering Program. And that is success. A few years ago, a boy was crying outside Northlight School. He had dropped out of school at primary 5 to look after his mother, who was suffering from depression because his father had passed away. The principal saw him and said, why are you crying? And after knowing the story, the principal took him into Northlight School, and he graduated very well from Northlight School. He went to ITE. And last year, I gave him a gold medal for being the top of his class. A boy who had dropped out of school, and now Ashraf is doing very well at Singapore Poly. And it's not just about young children. A few years back, I met Miss Liao Lei Kian. And Lei Kian she was 50 years old when I met her, and she spent 16 years of her life looking after her father-in-law, who was suffering from cancer. And after taking care of him for 16 years, he passed away, and she decided that I will dedicate myself to looking after the sick. And she went to ITE. Can I enroll in a course? I'm 50 years old. To her great surprise, ITE said, you are on, join us tomorrow. And she graduated top of the class again, and I gave her the gold medal, and she's now doing her diploma so that she can care for our sick and elderly better. Each of these stories is a story of Singaporeans who are courageous, who do our best. Each of these stories is a story of how we do our best in our education system to bring out the opportunities, to bring out the best in everyone. And that is why I'm so committed to making every school a good school. Because every child is a child of Singapore. Every adult is a member of our society. And that is why we are broadening the pathway to success, whether it's ITE, Poly, University, Skills Future, and that is why I'm so excited about our 5th university, SIT. And SIT will have a applied pathway. You'll be in a lovely campus in Punggol. You will be a new way of university education that will allow our graduates to get good jobs, to compete, to be the best in the world. So more peaks of excellence, more ways of developing our people. And we must give our children and fellow Singaporeans the best possible education, the best possible training opportunities, so that you can achieve your aspirations. But I tell you, I have a worry. A good education is not enough. What do our students do when they finish school? Do they have jobs to go to? Do they have continuing opportunities to train, to learn? It all depends on one thing. It depends on whether Singapore succeeds. If Singapore fails, the best education we give to our children will just mean one thing, that they have to go elsewhere, they have to go out to other countries to find opportunities. Do we want that? Now, when I was walking in Tampines a few days back, one of my residents greeted me warmly, and he said, "Mr. Heng, good luck to you." Then he became solemn, and he looked at me again and he said, "And good luck to us." And then he shook my hand warmly again. Good luck to us. He is right. This election is not about this candidate versus that candidate. It is about where we want to go, where we can go together as one people. It is about the future of our people, the future of Singapore, the future of our children. It is about standing together and stepping forward as one people, with strength, with courage, with compassion. It is about standing tall and to be among the best in the world. And it is about electing MPs and a government that can work together with all of us, for you, for Singapore. Our choices today determine our future tomorrow. I meet many fellow Singaporeans who tell me the challenges that they face, managing their work, managing the rapid changes, managing cost of living, juggling work and family. And when young couples tell me how they want to make it easier to raise children, I said, let us expand our student care centers in all our primary schools. And we started with a few, and we now have over 120. And I believe that we have to stay resolute and do our best to understand what is going on. The challenges we face is partly because our Singapore economy is facing 3 big waves, all coming at the same time. Financial markets are very volatile, and this affects confidence. And in turn, this affects investments and job creation. Our biggest partner, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, the economies are losing steam. And our Singapore economy is in the midst of a transformation to make the best use of our limited manpower and limited land, and to cope with our aging population. And of course, technology and globalization and competition is making changes faster and faster. In other words, many of the challenges are external, and they affect many countries too. Outside Singapore, we cannot control how the global economy runs and how technology will affect us. And nor can we change the fact that we are a little red dot. But inside Singapore, we can make ourselves the best team. We can harness the best ideas and energy of our people to come forward with solutions, like we did in our Singapore conversation. We can build deep skills through Skills Future and ensure that everyone who have the best possible opportunities to learn to be at their best. And we can turn all our workplaces into the best learning places. And we have employers who do not just care about you turning up for work and doing your work, but who care about you, care about how you learn, how you grow, and how you progress in your career. That we can do inside Singapore. And inside Singapore, we can help one another, create schemes to take care of our vulnerable and our elderly, such as the Pioneer Package. Build a spirit of caring and sharing, like we saw in this SG50 Caring and Sharing. So many fellow Singaporeans have been so generous in contributing to a common cause. And we must deepen our Singapore spirit. For 50 years, fellow Singaporeans have found a formula for a virtuous cycle that has served us well. We care for one another, we stay united, we draw in investments, we grow the economy. A strong economy creates jobs, creates opportunities, creates businesses for you, for our young people. And in turn, a strong economy gives us the resources to grow, to invest, to help the poor, to help the vulnerable. And that is why this party manifesto is with you, for Singapore. With you is about our partnership, a partnership that has been going on for many years and is a strong, good partnership. For you, it is the reason why we work so hard, because it is for every Singaporean, whether the young, the old, the elderly, whether the vulnerable, the poor. This is for you, and this is for Singapore. This is about our journey together as one nation, and we have a great start in our last 50 years. And we must continue this journey together as one people. We are a little red dot in the world, and we are the ultimate underdog. That is why we must stay united. In a world of nations, we are a little red dot and we are the ultimate underdog. But staying together, as we have done time and time again, staying united, we can beat the odds. Singaporeans have shown that we are a rugged people, able to adapt, able to cope with challenges, and opt for good, sound, long-term solutions. Singaporeans have shown that we are a kind and caring people, ready to help one another, to support one another. Singaporeans have shown that we have the Singapore spirit. And this election is about how we can come together to decide on our collective future, to build a better future for ourselves, to build a better future for our children, for our future generation. So, fellow Singaporeans, let us continue to take Singapore forward. Majulah Singapura. Majulah PAP. Thank you all for spending this afternoon with us. Thank you.
Fellow Singaporeans, good afternoon. Every country needs to grow its economy. Otherwise, there will be no resources to improve the life of the people. However, we must always remember that economic development is only a means to the end, not an end objective in itself. Our end objective must be social progress for our people, providing you with meaningful jobs, meaningful career, for you and your family to live a meaningful life. Today, I will focus on PMEs, professional managerial, and executives. As an open economy, we are more affected by the ups and downs in the region and the world. From 1997 to 2003, we went through not one, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times of downturn in a short span of 6 years. Our last downturn was in the global financial crisis in 2008, and maybe the next one is already on its way here. Against this backdrop, the global environment has become more and more difficult, resulting in sticky global unemployment, at the same time, sticky global wages in many countries. Against this backdrop, here in Singapore, we are doing much better than most other countries. Our youth unemployment is low, in fact, one of the lowest in the world. Our graduate unemployment, in fact, of all the countries that are more developed, there are only 5 countries with a graduate unemployment of less than 3%. And guess what? Singapore is one of them. The world is facing the problem of wage stagnation, but not in Singapore. Our median wage of the PMETs has continued to move up in the last 5 years. In nominal term, it went up by more than 35%. In real term, after offsetting for inflation, it went up by 20% in the last 5 years. Isn't that good? Even so, we are still concerned. From the public emails I receive on a regular basis since I came into the Ministry of Manpower about 3 months ago, there are young PMEs who are unable to secure jobs that they want. Why? Because employers say that you do not have the working experience. Mature workers, some of them affected by changes in their business, lost their jobs, they too have problem trying to make career switch. Either they don't have the skill, the expertise, or in some cases, the cut in wages is just way too deep for them to bear. Many also feel the competition from foreign PMETs in Singapore. I feel their frustration and stress. This is why we have tightened the inflow of foreign PMEs. Since our policy announcement in Budget 2010, the annual increase in employment pass and S-pass has dropped by 70%, 70, not 17, but 70%. The drop in the annual increase of employment pass holder was even more drastic, from a high of 30,000 a year to an average of only 1,000 a year in the past 3 years, a drop of more than 90%. These measures to tighten the inflow of foreign PMEs have been effective. Our Singaporean core is holding steady in our workforce. The ratio of local workers to foreign manpower in Singapore today stays stable at 2 to 1, 2/3 local manpower, 1/3 foreign manpower. If we exclude construction, which is the sector of least interest to Singaporeans, the ratio is actually 3 to 1, 3/4 local manpower and 1/4 foreigner. But the strengthening of Singaporean core is never done. We have some very important immediate priorities. Firstly, we must tackle the local concentration of foreign PMEs in Singapore. Working alongside with our local PMEs, our foreign PMEs in Singapore are making good contribution to our economy, and we appreciate that. However, local concentration of foreign PMEs is undesirable, be it by locations, by industries, by companies, or by departments within the companies. I've made clear my stand in the Parliament recently that we will scrutinize these double-week companies. Double weeks means weak in their Singaporean core, at the same time, weak in their commitment to attract, to nurture our local PMEs. We will engage them to strengthen our Singaporean cause in this company, in this industry. Second, we need to speed up the transfer of knowledge, expertise, and capabilities from the foreign PMEs to our local PMEs. With keen global competition and rapid pace of technological advances, we need to help our local PMEs to upgrade, to update their skill, their knowledge, their expertise faster. One effective way, not the only way, is through capability transfer, so that our capability in Singapore among our local PMEs can be built up faster, so that our future Singaporean core will be in place to drive the future new economy of Singapore. Thirdly, we need to step up leadership development to strengthen Singaporean core at the top. The strength of Singaporean core is not measured in number or proportion of the workforce. 2/3 versus 1/3. 3/4 versus 1/4. Yes, it's important, but not good enough. Because more importantly, we need to look at the strength of Singaporean core in terms of the role played by local PMEs. Not just at the middle level, but also at the senior and at the top level. This is why, under the Skill Future movement, Skill Future leadership development is a core priority. Our commitment, our aim, is to nurture promising Singaporean PMEs to become future leaders of companies, industries, business community of Singapore and beyond. It's never easy to restructure the economy and to reposition the workforce. Once, the chairman of one of the leading companies of the world, he was very impressed by Singapore. He said that we manage our economy and our workforce like a Singapore Inc., Singapore Incorporated. He was very impressed. I thanked him for his compliment. But then I had to remind him the big difference between a corporation and a nation. As a global company, he could move his restructured operations to any cities in his country, or for that matter, to any country in the world. He could retrench his workers, those that are no longer relevant to the companies, do not fit into his new operation, and can continue to hire new ones. But I told him, for us, Singapore as a nation, there's only one location for us to restructure our economy, and that location is Singapore. At the same time, I also pointed out to him, companies can retrench workers, can hire new ones, but as a country, we will never, there's no such thing as retrenching our own citizens. We will, as a government, as a country, always take care of our people. Because our people are not just workers of companies, they are the brothers, our sisters of Singapore united. Dear Singaporeans, this is the reason why we must always succeed. Restructuring after restructuring, repositioning after repositioning. We must always succeed, and we must always stay special as an economy, as a workforce, as a society, as a nation. PAP, our commitment to you is that we'll never stop creating enough jobs for everyone. because we don't want Singaporeans to suffer the pain of unemployment. We're committed that we'll never stop creating enough skills in our people because we don't want people to suffer from the pain of structural unemployment. We'll never stop creating jobs of better and better quality because we don't want Singaporeans to suffer the pain of underemployment. And these are not just words or election slogan. These are our commitment to you and to your children. We've come this far together for the last 50 years. Together, we can do it again to create better jobs, better careers, and for our people to live a better life. So let us do it together with you, for our children. Majulah Singapura! My dear fellow Singaporeans, let us welcome Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong.
Let me try first. I think it's okay. I use it. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. This has been a momentous, special year for Singapore. In March, our founding father, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, passed away. Huge crowds gathered to pay respects to him at Parliament House across the river. On the first day, the crowds reached all the way to here, across Cavenagh Bridge. Despite the hot sun, despite the long hours, I walked along the queue to thank the people, and I was deeply moved to see their feelings for Mr. Lee, to see the warmth which Singaporeans showed to one another. We were all Singaporeans together, and we still are. When the gun carriage left Parliament House to take Mr. Lee on his last journey, tens of thousands of people stood along the road in the wind and in the rain to pay their respects. The wind came, the rain washed down on them. They didn't move. They stood firm. They were honoring Mr. Lee, paying tribute to what he stood for, the indomitable spirit of the pioneers and the achievements of the pioneers, which are indelible. So March was an intensely sad time. But in August, on National Day, we celebrated SG50. We remembered 50 years of independence, how we overcame the odds together, how we brought Singapore from the third world to the first. And we sang Majulah Singapura together, we said the national pledge together, and we committed ourselves to taking Singapore forward together. After 50 years of this journey, I think we are entitled to look back and to rejoice. We've shown the world who we are. We are Singaporeans. We've shown ourselves what we can do when we rally together, like we are rallying together now. We have shown everybody what promise our nation holds. But SG50 is not a destination. It's the start of a new chapter. So at the start of a new chapter, we should pause and ask ourselves, how do we go forward from here? And that's why I've called elections to seek a new mandate at this key turning point in our history, to take Singapore forward beyond SG50. In 3 days' time, you will decide your vote, by your vote, your future. Ask yourself, are you really satisfied with what we have today, now? For future generations, for your children, for your grandchildren? Or can we do even better? Keep on improving our lives, keep on taking Singapore higher, build something lasting and worthwhile for our children. I believe we want to climb higher. Why do I think that? Because that is the Singapore spirit. That's how we got here. If the pioneer generation has said, okay lah, good enough already, we would still be where we were, the Singapore River would still be smelling out this place, and Singapore would be in the dumps and left behind. But they worked hard, they sacrificed for their children so that we, their children, could have a better life. Now it's our turn. The question is asked of us. Do we have the same spirit as the pioneers? Yes. Do we want to protect what we have and build on what we have? Yes, of course. Do we want our children to live better lives than us, just like we live better lives than our parents? Of course. If so, let us be prepared to buckle down, work, even sacrifice. Sacrifice for one another, most of all, sacrifice for a better tomorrow for our children. In this last term of government, since the last time I came here and talked to you at this spot in 2011, but actually for many years before that, the PAP has been working hard with you to improve lives and to take Singapore forward. And the results speak for themselves. We've worked hard for the seniors who deserve peace of mind in their golden years, who deserve to live out their years with dignity. How have we done that? PG package have reduced their medical bills. MediShield Life has given every Singaporean better medical coverage for life. We've improved CPF. We've introduced silver support to ease the burden for retirees. So we are helping old people, we are helping young people too, couples, to own their own homes, set up their own homes, start their own families. In this last 4 years, we've launched 100,000 HDB flats. 100,000. That means every year, 4 years, One Clementi New Town started. We've increased housing grants so that the houses are more affordable, especially more affordable for the people who most need help, the low-income groups. We've improved the baby bonus. We've got more maternity leave. We've got paternity leave as well. So the fathers amongst you, I think quite a number are here today, please do your duty. Look after your babies. Don't leave it to poor mum at home. And then you may have another boy or another girl. Most importantly, we've kept Singapore safe and sound, a place where people feel confident about their safety, confident about their future, willing to say, let's have a kid. He will have a bright future ahead of him. We've lightened the load on the sandwich generation, sandwiched by the old folks needing medical care, not so well already, perhaps at home, maybe invalid in bed, and with the kids, not yet grown up, still needing to be supported, needing to be educated. We have helped them with all kinds of schemes. The PGP has helped them. One day recently, I met a man, he was much younger than me, 50-something years old perhaps, and he said to me, "Thank you, sir, for the PGP." I said, "Why do you thank me? You don't qualify." He said, "No, I don't qualify, but my parents qualify." And the PGP has taken some of the load off my shoulders. Thank you very much. I said, "Thank you for your support." That's why we did it. So I'm happy to see a wide group of Singaporeans with better lives, better lifestyles, better pay, better hope for the future. If you go house to house, you'll see lots of homes have big screen TVs. Essential? No. Nice to have? Yes. Should we have it? If we can afford it, why not? A lot of households travel, a lot of families travel, go overseas for holidays. When there's a travel fair in Singapore, it's full of people and all the packages are sold out. When I hold an election in September, people say, please watch out, first week of September, school holidays are. I want to vote, please cham siong a little bit. When I travel overseas, I meet Singaporeans everywhere. Recently, I was in Hokkaido on holiday with my family. I met dozens of Singaporeans from the first stop to the last stop, everywhere. "Mr. Lee, how about a selfie?" I said, "Yes, of course. What are you doing here?" "I'm on holiday, school holiday time." Last week, I went to Serangoon Gardens Market. The hawker selling Hokkien noodles was so happy to see me. He said, "Hi, Mr. Lee, good to see you again." When did we last meet? In Hokkaido. We took a picture together. Actually, I put his picture on Facebook. So he showed me a copy to sign. I signed. His son gave me a copy to sign. I said, "You also went to Hokkaido?" He says, "Yes, 3-generation family, all of us went." So I think he may be in Aljunied GRC, but I think that family is voting for the PAP. Of course, not everybody can have a little bit of extra money to spend, and we know that there are low-income families, there are needy families, and we go that extra mile to help them, so that the basics are always within reach, with workfare, with ComCare, with a progressive wage package, making sure that they can take care of themselves and tomorrow can be better. And particularly, we help them to have a home. so that with $1,000 of income a month, you can buy an HDB two-room flat just with your CPF, no cash. Where else in the world can you do that? People say, "Uya boya." Is it real or not? I say, "Uya." How do I know? Because in 4 years, nearly 2,000 such families have bought two-room HDB flats. And I think they are doing just okay. Our policies have helped Singaporean workers too. You've heard Sri say, you've heard Sri Kiat just now explain how wages have been going up, how with Skills Future we're helping to upgrade our people, how we've tightened up on employment passes, we've got a fair consideration framework, make sure that Singaporean professionals, you get a fair crack at the jobs. If you are good, you will get considered. And you can show yourself, prove yourself, and move up. Finally, for the young generation, we make sure that they have a bright future. Opening new pathways and opportunities. School of the Arts, School of Science and Technology, Northlight School, Sports School, different skills, different schools, different opportunities, many paths, all going up, letting people chase rainbows. At the National Day rally this year, I mentioned Chang Kai. He's a student. He nearly failed his PSLE. He went to normal technical and secondary school. He went on to ITE, did well. He went on to the Poly, did well. He went on to SIT, the university. He became an animator, a designer for computer animation. He got a degree from DigiPen Institute of Technology, the top institute in the world for people making animations and special effects. And he's now graduated with a DigiPen degree and a job as an animator. I think that is the Singapore story. We work together, we can make many more Chang Kais possible in Singapore. Different names, but all like Chang Kai. And 50 years from now, Singaporeans will be able to say, back at that important election in 2011, my grandfather or my father, he made the right choice. He set us on the right path. We worked from that. Last 50 years, we've done good work. Now, SG 100, time for grandchildren and great-grandchildren to take over. I think it's our job to make sure that 50 years' time, some Prime Minister can stand here and say that to you, to your grandchildren. And then you and I, those of us who may not be here anymore, will be upstairs taking a look down, and we will say, well done, keep up the good work. SG 100. This is what the PAP would like to do with you, if you give us a chance. Can we do better? Can we achieve our aspirations? Of course, yes we can. Of course, there will be challenges. We are a small country, we are a little red dot. Life is never easy. For example, look at terrorism. Look at ISIS. Last month, a bomb went off in Bangkok. 20 people died. One was an innocent Singaporean. What has it got to do with us? Well, it's a terrorist group. Who are they? Not sure. maybe Turks, maybe Uyghurs, but it's a terrorist group and there's some connection there. Who are they connected with? Suspicion there's some connection also with terrorist groups in Indonesia, in Poso. What do the Indonesian terrorist groups want to do? Some of them are thinking about Singapore. Not thinking like you and me, thinking of letting off bombs in Singapore. Will we stop them? We'll do our damnedest. Can we be absolutely sure nothing will ever happen? Nobody can be absolutely sure. But these are real dangers we must remember. And polling day, it so happens, is 9/11. Just to remind ourselves. You look the other way, Malaysia, ringgit, 3 ringgit, 1 Singapore dollar. For shopping in JB, very good, right? For worrying about our neighbor, not so good. Because if there's loss of confidence in our neighbor, if their currency goes down, their economy is weak, it's bad for us. People will think the whole region is not so safe, and including Singapore. So we worry about Malaysia. They had a Bersih 4 rally last week. Big crowds turned up. So now they have an anti-Bersih rally coming. Anti-Bersih doesn't mean dirty, you know. Anti-Bersih is anti-Bersih, not kotor. And anti-Bersih is coming, and they're going to hold a big rally on the 16th of September. It's a coincidence, but you just think of the contrast. For us, it's a founder's birthday. For Malaysia, it's a time of tension and unease. And there's a strong racial undertone to this, because Bersih was non-Malay and anti-Bersih is many Malay groups. So these are things we worry about. Our nearest neighbor, our next nearest neighbor, Indonesia. What do we worry about? Just look around you at the gray haze. Just smell the air. Today, PSI 100. Where does it come from? You know where it comes from. Why does it come here? They are burning forests. It's blowing here. What can we do about it? Well, we are helping, working with them, offering to help them. But basically, they have to solve the problem. The government is cooperative. Attitudes amongst the community, something different. Whenever there's a haze blowing over to us or to Malaysia, somebody in Indonesia will say, these people are so ungrateful. 11 months we supply them fresh air. Never charge for oxygen. 1 month haze, already so unhappy. So, what is the attitude? This is a little red dot. You should know your place in the world. Small country versus big country, better tabi a little bit. So, that is the way the world is. We can handle it. We have dealt with it for 50 years. Even when we had 2 infantry battalions, we managed to see through and to get here. Today, with the SAF, with the home team, with all of your support, with a good government, I think whatever the haze, whatever the Bersih or non-Bersih, I think we make Singapore succeed in Singapore. How do we do that? We do that by staying one united people. It's been our formula. It's been our mantra. Actually, it's our secret recipe. Why is it secret? Not that people don't know it, but people cannot do it. We can do it. We keep faith with one another. The government works with the people support the government. Together, we got to SG 50. Together, we will get to SG 100. So, we've got to get our politics right. How do you do that? First, you must vote for the right people. You vote for the right people. The right people are in charge, are responsible. They have the right policies. They set the right politics. They put the country onto the right path. And then we will be heading in a good direction for a long time to come. You do it wrong, wrong people in charge, or you vote against good people and you discourage good people from serving, country goes wrong, very hard to come back again. Our politics is changing. World is changing. Singapore is changing. Our politics will have to change. But we have to work together, even if we have to work harder, to have a national consensus, to be able to form that will, that power, that strength together. So when we move forward, we move as one people, and we get there as one united people. How must our politics be if we are going to do that? First of all, they have to be honest. The politics have to be honest. The people have to be clean and honest also. If you are not honest, if you are not clean, if you have a black mark, whether people know it or not, please stay out of politics. And so we need honest politicians, and we also need voters who can tell the difference between people who are honest and people who are not. And I was very, very surprised yesterday that here on this spot yesterday to hear Dr. Chee Soon Juan say, reputation is temporary, but character is permanent. I agree. I think Dr. Chee has every reason to know that character is permanent, doesn't change. We cannot have corruption in Singapore. We cannot have wrongdoing in the government or in high places in Singapore. That's why we have the CPIB reporting to me as PM, and if I don't give approval to the CPIB to investigate somebody, the CPIB can go to the President and ask the President for approval. President says yes, CPIB can proceed against the PM. That's why we have the Auditor General's office, to keep the government straight, to keep our statutory board straight, and once in a while to find out whether the town councils are straight or not straight. These are the PAP standards, and these also have to be the opposition standards. Just because you don't wear white doesn't mean you shouldn't be white or needn't be white. That's what is different about Singapore. I can show it to other people. Can they do it? Not so easy. That's what we must always keep precious in Singapore. So maybe that is why when Mr. Lee Kuan Yew had his 90th birthday, we had a little celebration in Parliament. And he was too weak to make a speech, but he came, he joined us in the members' room. We made a birthday cake, we sang a song, blew the candles, and he made a small speech. He talked about only one thing. He said, remember, keep our system clean. And I should note that that was not just PAP MPs having a celebration. That was all of the MPs having a celebration, including the opposition MPs. So the PAP MPs took note of what he said. I hope the opposition MPs also took note of what he said. Keep our system clean. You may be running the government. You may be running a ministry. You can be in a stat board. You can be in a town council. Doesn't matter. Whatever level you are, uphold high standards, keep it clean. And don't say, I didn't go to jail, I'm okay. The second thing about politics is that we must take care of our people today, and we must take care of our people also for tomorrow. If you only want to worry about today, it's very easy to do politics. I write checks, tomorrow somebody else can pay. No problem. Anybody can do that. But if I want to worry about today and tomorrow also, then I have to balance, I have to trade off, I have to sacrifice, I have to plan, and I have to work hard. And that's why actually only the PAP does that. The opposition parties, tomorrow is after the general election, worry later. So you cannot write checks for your children to pay. You cannot make promises knowing that you're going to be in the opposition so the government can fulfill if the government can. It's always a temptation in an election, and it's not just in Singapore. You just look at the list of things which have come up. If you attend opposition rallies, soon you have a long list of things to ask the government for. Free health care, $300 for old people, $300 for young people, free taxi rides if you need to go to see a doctor, minimum wage. And if minimum wage means unemployment, never mind. We give money to the unemployed also. Everything can. Who to pay? No problem. Just raise taxes. Big companies can pay. Rich people can pay. And if still not enough money, reserves got money what? Hundreds of billions of dollars are, according to the opposition. With that attitude, in Chinese they say, 坐吃山空. Which means you sit there, you eat up your seed corn, all your savings, one day the mountain is gone and you will starve. If it was really so simple, why do you think the PAP is not doing all these things? We are so stupid? We are quite slow, but not so slow as all that. Certainly, we would have been more popular. There would be even more applause than you're giving me today. And the opposition, maybe fewer subjects to make speeches. But would we have built this Singapore? Would we be standing here surrounded by these buildings, this prosperity, this success? Would we have that toughness to continue to fight as Singaporeans for our future and our children's future? So, the government, in politics, please think about our future, yours and mine. Thirdly, for politics to work, we must have good people in government. Capable people, committed people, people who will work hard, people whose hearts are in the right place. I read in the newspapers, Peng Eng Huat, Workers' Party candidate, saying, don't worry, you look at Thailand. They have military coup, still okay, what? No need for government, civil service is very good. We'll look after you, everything will carry on. No government, you can go home, still take bath, hot water still running. if that is the Workers' Party's measure of good politics and success, if ever the Workers' Party becomes the government of Singapore, I say liao. Finish. And you should make no mistake about it. They aspire to be the government of Singapore. Why should they not? They are entitled to, but we are entitled to ask them, what are you capable of doing? What do you intend to do? Show that you are fit to be the government of Singapore. Don't take the item, don't go and write soft words in your manifesto. Manifesto don't say you're going to be the government, but you tell people, one day I will be a government, not yet, just give me a chance. So I think that if Mr. Low Tia Kiang were honest, he would say, yes, when he heard Peng Eng Huat say those things on stage, he also malu, don't know where to hide his face. So I think you must have a good government, you must have good leaders, and then the leaders can make the system work well. And we need a strong Singapore team working with the leaders, supporting the leaders, giving us ideas, giving us feedback, helping to guide us the right directions. What are the things which people mostest need done, mostest want to see happen in Singapore? I think that is what will keep Singapore successful tomorrow. And that's how Mr. Lee Kuan Yew did it. He did a lot of things alone because of him, his ideas, his drive, his leadership. But he didn't do it by himself. He did it with a strong team. Goh Keng Swee, Rajaratnam, Lim Kim San, Hon Swee Sen, Osman Wok. Partners, people who work together, who work with Singaporeans, who made Singapore go from 1965 to 2015. After Mr. Lee and his team, Mr. Goh Chok Tong and his team took over. Again, a strong team, many strong players. Tony Tan, Dana Balan, Ong Teng Cheong, and more, Ahmad Mata. They worked, they took Singapore another step forward. 10 years ago, I and my team took over. We did our best to take Singapore further forward. I think that is the way to make Singapore work. But the trouble is, I'm not getting younger. My core team is also not getting younger. We are at least late 50s, some early 60s, some not so very early. And every year, you don't get younger. And we must make sure that we have a team in depth in our ranks, ready to take over from us, ready to take Singapore beyond us, and do even more than what me and my generation, we are able to do for Singapore to achieve our aspirations. We have a nucleus of that group. We have been assembling it over the years. Last election, I brought in some more people. Heng Swee Keat, Lawrence Wong, Chan Chun Sing, Tan Chuan Jin. I took in people from the back benches. Josephine, Indrani, Faishal. And we are building the nucleus of a new team. It's starting to come together. But I need more. You need more. Singapore needs more. So this election, I'm adding more. When people say jia you, here is jia liao. Add more substance. Ng Chi Meng, Ong Yi Kang, Chi Hong Tat, many others. Amrin. People who can make a contribution, people who have potential, people who will show their commitment and prove themselves, and in due course will be able to form that bond with you, with your children. We need a deep bench. We need the best possible team for Singapore. We don't need an opposition which says, I'm not ready to form the government, but never mind, just vote for me, you're buying insurance. Let me explain to you insurance. Insurance is good, but you must buy the right insurance from the right company. If you buy NTUC Income, I think it's okay. NTUC Income, NTUC name is there. Lim Swee Say used to be NTUC, is a reputable company. If you buy MediShield Life, the Singapore government is standing there. So, when people say CPF no money to pay, I said that was 30 years ago, election rally, come back, old tape, rewind, play back again. CPF Life, government will be standing there. But if your insurance company is an opposition party, no track record, or worse, don't know how to handle money, or the insurance salesman not interested in you, only wants his commission, then you buy your insurance now, you pay premium, you feel okay. One day you run into trouble, they look for the insurance company to pay out, then you know you're in trouble. So, politics is not just policies, not just words. Finally, it comes down to people. And to produce results for you, I need to have the right team to work with me, to work with you, to work for you and for Singapore. And I need that support, not just in Ang Mo Kio GRC. I'm very grateful to the voters in Ang Mo Kio GRC for supporting me all these years. Thank you. I think there are many of you in the crowd today. But I need that support from all of you all over Singapore. Whichever constituency it is, whether it's West Coast or East Coast, whether it's Fengshan or Aljunied, whether it's MacPherson or Bukit Panjang, the PAP candidate standing there is standing on behalf of the PAP. So by voting for him, you are voting for me, you are voting for my team, you're voting for my program, and you're voting for my promise. And the promise is we will work with you to make Singapore better for you and your children. I think that's our formula for success. The opposition's formula, which you have heard in these last few days, and which they're circulating around, including on WhatsApp, that doesn't make sense. Their formula is like this. They say, if the government has done a good job, it's because you voted for the opposition. So vote more for the opposition, government will work harder. Never mind if the opposition is not doing work. And what sort of politics is that? You vote for me, PAP will produce miracles. Don't worry, I don't have to do anything. The PAP will do everything you need to do. It's perverse. is upside down. You confuse yourself, you mess things up, you weaken your team, and you end up with an outcome which you don't want. An opposition which is strengthened but incapable. Actually, the argument is the other way around. Let me tell you what should be the argument. Please write it down and send it to your friends on WhatsApp. The argument is like this. Opposition not working hard enough. They make a mess of things. They are not active enough in Parliament. They are really talking not much sense. Vote PAP, make the opposition work harder. I've been in politics now 30-something years. The first time I came down to speak here or across on the other side at Fullerton Square was 1984, 30 and a half years ago. Much younger, same hot sun, same crowd wanting to hear what we had to say, wanting to see how Singapore will go. Every election since then, I've been back to Fullerton Square, now to UOB Plaza. Why do I do this? Because I'm convinced that each person can make a difference. Because I think I can help. And because I think if I don't step up, doesn't mean somebody else will come along and the problem will be solved and I can happily go home and go to bed, have a hot shower. No problem. I feel I have that duty. I have to do something about it. Which is why in 1984, when Mr. Goh Chok Tong asked me to enter politics, I thought about it and I said yes. And I think that's also why, after 30-something years, Mr. Goh Chok Tong having stepped down as PM, handed over to me more than 10 years, he's still here with us, supporting us, rooting for Singapore. Why does he do that? Why do I do that? Because I feel a duty, and I think he feels a duty too, to improve life for Singaporeans, to make this a safe, secure, successful Singapore, to help Singaporeans improve their lives year by year, and enable our children to have better futures and brighter opportunities. And that's what drives us, drives me. Explore new possibilities, bring up spiky issues, tackle them, even immigration, very troublesome. But we have to talk about it, we have to do something about it, we have to explain to people what we are doing and why we are doing that. That's why we work with you to solve problems like cost of living. How can we make life better, not quite burden, lighter? Possibilities, more for our people. We are not the bosses of Singapore. We are not the commanders or the owners of Singapore. We are the trustees and the stewards of Singapore. We are like the jaga. Our job to take care of this is given to us in trust, to look after, to improve, and then carefully one day to hand on to a new generation. Please take care of this a lot of loving care has gone in, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears is here, and there's a lot of value and relevance to you for your future. Please take good care of it, take it further. In 1980, before I came into politics, at one Fullerton Square rally, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew said this. It happened to be a day when the rain was pouring down, but he poured forth all the same, more powerful than the rain. And he said, whoever governs Singapore must have that iron in him, or give it up. This is not a game of cards. This is your life and mine. And Lee Kuan Yew said, I spent my whole life building this, and as long as I'm in charge, nobody is knocking it down. Mr. Lee is gone, but that spirit must continue in Singapore. That iron must be inside our hearts. And as long as the PAP is in charge, nobody should be knocking this down. And that's why I'm in politics. So if you believe in me and my team, if you believe that together we can make tomorrow better than today, please support me and my PAP team. On Youth Day in July, once a year we celebrate Youth Day. We had a big celebration this year because we opened a sports hub. I went there, I spoke to the young people, I told them the future is yours to make. We've given you all that we can, resources, education, guidance, support. It's up to you. Make the most of it. Chase that rainbow. Go for it. It's just a speech, right? But I think it struck a chord. Recently, somebody sent me a beautiful picture. Gardens by the Bay, 2 domes, and 1 beautiful rainbow arcing over the 2 domes in the bay. And she told me it was taken on Youth Day, the day I happened to make that speech. So last week, I took that picture and posted it on my social media. I also have social media. Facebook and IG, Instagram. On Facebook, I got 55,000 likes. On Instagram, 10,000 likes. Not bad. 1 photo, 2 sentences. Better than a rally speech. Why? It struck a chord. People want to go for the rainbow in the sky. People want to achieve. They have confidence. They are going into a bright future. So that's what we must and courage. That's what we must strive for. That's how we must be. Go ahead with confidence. Worries, uncertainties, yes, there will be. We are young. If you are young, you look forward. So many choices, so many questions, what do I do? But you are young, you got energy, you got drive. You have tomorrow. 明天会更好. Chase that rainbow. It will be exciting, it will be exhilarating. You put in the hard work, the dedication, mix in some talent and a little bit of luck. You will get success, fulfillment, and you will bring Singapore forward. So I ask for your trust, I ask for your support, your mandate. Vote for what you believe in. Vote for the candidates you trust. Vote for the party which has never let you down. We will work with you, we will fight for you, we will work and fight for Singapore. Majulah PAP. Majulah Singapura. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Go to your vote and do the right thing.
Friends and fellow Singaporeans, we've come to the end of our downtown rally. Thank you so much for coming here. A big thank you to the interpreters who stood here in the sun, and we ask that you give us your support as we stand with you, for Singapore. Thank you.